So it's been a little while since we did a full term update on some of these tools that I've taken to work. So I want to go ahead and catch you guys up on some of my thoughts after using these, many of these for a month or two. And unfortunately, this one only a couple weeks. Now, I was very excited 4 weeks ago to present this Swiss Tech to you. And this comes in around the $20 mark. And what is really unique about it is not only is it spring loaded, but it has all outside implements. And I really thought this was giving, to some extent, this would be like a budget Leatherman free series, just because it has a lot better plier head. And then even when you open these tools, they're a lot better, and the lock system seemed to be a lot better as well. So I went ahead and I took this to work. I really like the design of the knife as well. You can check out my full video where I talk about this to begin with, but it just had a lot going for it. But unfortunately, after using it for a while, I realized that it's not quite there yet. So one of the biggest issues I noticed, first of all, is that the knife blade dulled fairly quickly. Now I realize this is only about a $20 knife, or multi-tool rather. So obviously it's not super high quality, but even after 4 weeks, just cutting a couple boxes and packages, I really was hoping the knife blade would keep its edge a little bit more. So when I'm talking about a couple, I'm talking about maybe 5 or 6, and it is really dull, so that now I need to sharpen it before it even cuts through a plastic, like one of those white plastic Amazon packages, or, things that you get in the mail. So that's unfortunate. And then the other thing was that this lock right here, when you look at the notches right here, unfortunately, they're too big, or the lock bar is too small, so that when it engages, there is a lot of play. And I didn't think that was too bad, but then it actually can go further back. It can force this back. And so that is not good at all. That is not what you want to happen with your multi-tool, unfortunately, for it to. Now, it doesn't do it here on this one, so I'm not sure why it doesn't on the knife, but that's one of those things you don't want to have happen, for the knife to sort of fall backwards. It's just not good. So again, I don't know if this is a bad one, but unfortunately, this is my experience. So for right now, I would definitely steer clear of the Swiss Tech 15-in-1. Again, it's very cheap. It's very appealing, but I think there are better options out there for the price, unless you're willing to give it a try and you're not that worried about it. So just so you know. All right, so let's set this out of here. Now, the next one I want to talk about is the Beta multi-tool. And I've talked about this a while. I was very excited. Again, this is a surge based multi-tool to some extent. It's essentially the same size as a Leatherman Surge. It does have replaceable cutters. The pliers seem to work pretty good as well. And most of the implements seem to be fine. I don't think much issue with it. But one of the things I did get a little frustrated with is that some of the implements just sort of rattle. So some of these just sort of shake in place. This one especially just sort of rattles. And it doesn't necessarily hinder the operation too much, but it was just a little frustrating. And then you do have to sort of push up on these tabs to bring these tools out. I do sort of like how with Leatherman, you can push the tabs, and I think maybe with SOG as well, some of theirs, where you can just push it from the back and open it up. But that's not a huge complaint. I guess one of the bigger things was that I did get tired of carrying this bit kit around, and different times when I need to use a screwdriver, I'd have to pull this out, sort of get stuck. And again, sort of small criticisms. Really, overall, it did a pretty good job. But in the end, I ended up really missing the T-shank adapter. I just missed the Leatherman Surge style implements, I guess just because I'm more used to it. And I really missed having the inline bit driver as well. So eventually I did go ahead and retire it. And also it doesn't have a pocket clip. That's a little frustrating to me as well, even though I know a lot of larger tools don't. So I don't think there was anything really that wrong with it. Again, it did have a little bit of a shake to it. I think otherwise it held up pretty good, but there are some features like the T-shank adapter it doesn't have and the 1/4 inch bit driver that other tools do have that, well, sort of made me excited to have them back in my carry. Now this again will seem sort of petty. Again, this is a pretty good tool. I think it's worth the $100 or so. And this again is definitely worth the $30 or so you'll pay for it. $20 to $30 on AliExpress. This is the Camping DL1. This is the Beta 1778 right here, MT. So with the DL1, really, it's been really good, a really good tool. One of the things I do like about it is that you do have the serrated knife and the regular knife. So if one of these dulls very quickly, you do have a backup, which is really nice. And one of my favorite things about this was definitely the large scissors on the outside. And then not only does it have replaceable wire cutters, but it does have this 1/4 inch bit driver and the pocket clip. So it seemed like it was the best of all worlds. But one of the things you will trade off when you don't buy a Leatherman or a Victorinox, or perhaps to some extent a Gerber or a SOG, is that it does have a lot of shake. So it rattles a lot. So now I've got a Leatherman Super Tool, just to put this in perspective, that does rattle this same place where the lock is. So again, after you use your Leatherman, perhaps a long time, it will get this same rattle. But I've used this, I don't know, a couple months, 6 to 8 months, maybe. I've had it lying around. I forget exactly when I had it. And not extremely heavy use, but I have used it. And then this does shake a fair amount. And then there are some spacers in here that seem a little bit loose and can shake as well. Now, no tool is falling out. I've had no issues. I guess it's this spacer right here that seems a little loose. I could probably just tighten this up, but I did want to let you know about that. Overall, it still works the same. It's an excellent tool, and I do think it's still one of the best options out there, but just be aware there will be some shakes and rattles you will have to put up with along the way perhaps, and you may need to do some tightening, some maintenance along the way. Now, probably the best options out there right now, if you just want a tool and just put it in your pocket and go, are these Surge style multi-tools. These are amazing. So I really don't have any complaint against them, except they don't come with a pocket clip, and I had to add a pocket clip to each one of these. Other than the T-shank adapter is a little bit harder because I like to always pull it this way, and this tab right here will actually open the T-shank adapter, and so you have to always make sure to open it up with this notch right here. So always use this notch, don't use this, or you can pull it apart. So that's one issue, but other than that, that's basically the only thing I've had wrong with it. Otherwise, it's held up amazing. It's done a fantastic job. I don't really use these inside implements over here very much. I just use this 1/4 inch driver. And then a lot of times I'll either use the knife blades or the outside scissors, things like that. And then with this T-shank adapter, I've also added a box cutter just to have an extra knife as well. So it's done an amazing job. And I really think these are fantastic. Probably the best money, probably the best bang for the buck right now. So excellent job. This is the DL1 Day of Camping. This is the Byberry. I personally like the Byberry better just because of the color scheme. I like the black and the silver, and I like this pocket clip that I found. This is from for a universal holster clip, actually. This is a stick-on option, and it's actually worked fantastic. So this is what I was carrying, what I'm back to carrying now after I was carrying this for a while. And so it's so nice to have this large multi-tool back in my pocket, and it really inspires confidence, and I feel really good about having this as a work tool. Probably my favorite work multi-tool at the moment, at least in the budget lineup. Now I like my Leatherman Surge still. I've modified it to have a 1/4-inch bit driver, so it's very useful, but I do find this almost as useful as my Leatherman Surge, to be honest, at a fraction of the price. So that's sort of an update on what I found with these tools. Not really any big deals except this. That is very disappointing how that knife can sort of pop out. I'm not sure why it does that, but it does have an issue with that, how it can sort of defeat the lock to some extent. So that's unfortunate. Otherwise, we have a couple shakes and rattles, not any big deal. And then we do have sort of a bulky kit with this where I wish you had the inline screwdriver. But other than that, and then these come out at the top of the list, doing fantastic, really, really well. So definitely recommend these tools.